Welcome back to the continuing documentation of the backsliding of America, where today we get to revisit a true classic of the religious right. The parents' right to control what a public school teaches their children based upon their own deeply held religious beliefs, also known as religious freedom to the Christians and Christian supremacy to the rest of us. I think the last time I talked about this topic was in December of 2019, which checks out because the 5 years since that month, I've mostly been occupied with COVID misinformation, the war on women's health, transphobia, and fascism. You know, sometimes it's helpful to take a step back to get that wider view of things, and at other times it somehow makes it all much worse. Anyway, back in 2019, I discussed a bill that was introduced in the Ohio legislature, which stated that in public schools, teachers could not penalize or reward a student based on the religious content of a student's work. What does that mean? Well, no one really knows for sure. Does it mean a student can just answer Jesus for every question on a test and get a passing grade? Probably not, because the bill also mandated that grades and scores shall be calculated using ordinary academic standards of substance and relevance, including any legitimate pedagogical concerns. So as I mentioned in that video, really, all it does mean is that if a student is asked the age of the Earth and replies, my textbook says that scientists think the Earth is about 4.5 billion years old, their teacher can't punish them if they then also add, but I believe the Bible, which puts the age at about 6,000 years. Which isn't a thing. That's not a thing that happens. Most students don't write things like that, but for the small minority of religious weirdos who would, no teacher would punish them. They'd roll their eyes and then check their GoFundMe that allows them to buy classroom supplies. I suggested that that bill would surely pass, and surprise, it did. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine signed it into law in the summer of 2020 because surely there was nothing else to think about concerning the education of children during that time. If it was fixing a problem that didn't even exist with wishy-washy, easy to misinterpret language, why did it pass through into law so easily? And not just in Ohio, but in many other states as well. Because this is part of the religious rights agenda and has been for the past several decades. Pass stupid laws that more easily enable you to goad someone into accidentally or purposely violating one of those laws, and then sue in the hopes that you lose so that you can then escalate the lawsuit to the Supreme Court, which is now heavily controlled by the religious right themselves. Secure a ruling from them and break down the wall separating church and state, allowing you to push the rest of your conservative wedge issues into the classroom. No more teaching of evolution, no more sex education, no more acknowledgement of the existence of queer people, just to name a few examples. And when you know it, took a few years, but someone's managed to do it. In this case, it started in Maryland, where a group of parents objected to the mere existence of books in the classroom that included LGBTQ characters. One such book is called Uncle Bobby's Wedding. It's a picture book for children aged 3 to 6. It's about a little girl who doesn't want her uncle to get married until she spends a magical day with him and his fiancée, who is also a man. That's it. There aren't even any illustrations of them kissing. They could be completely asexual. And in some editions, as shown in court, they're not even human, they're fucking hamsters. This book is not required to be read aloud in any classrooms in Maryland. However, it is approved to be on the bookshelves in classrooms if the teacher wants. And it is this that the religious conservative parents object to, because there are laws that already allow religious conservative parents to opt their children out of certain types of education that violate their religious beliefs, so they say, including things like comprehensive sexual education. But the school board argued that there's just no way to opt a child out of a classroom that includes any representation of a gay person without being wildly bigoted and reducing the educational opportunities of the other children in the classroom. Two lower courts ruled in favor of the school board because they are sane. They understood that this would be considered patently ridiculous right now if a parent claimed that say they think Black people are the descendants of Ham and thus bear the mark of evil upon them and condemn them to a life of slavery. And so their child should be able to opt out of any material that even shows an illustration of a Black person. And yeah, that does sound ridiculous right now, but it did not sound ridiculous to the religious conservatives of 60 or 70 years ago, who literally opted their white children out of even going to school with Black children. And if the Supreme Court rules in favor of these parents, I assure you that we will be taking one giant step back in that direction. Because again, I can't stress this enough. They are all about pushing the rest of the wedge in. Every time they take an inch, they keep going to try to get the whole mile. Allowing religious parents to opt out of sexual education was a huge mistake, not only because it doomed those children to unexpected teen pregnancies, STDs, and a lack of understanding of concepts like consent, which hurts them, the people around them, and society at large, but also because it allowed the tip of that wedge in. If we can opt out of sex ed because we don't believe in it, why can't we opt out of evolution? Oh, thank you. We can? Great. Okay, now we'd like to opt out of ever seeing a gay person. In a fascinating twist, fundamentalist Muslim parents are part of the Christian families in this fight, not realizing, I guess, that they're next on the menu. Because I assure you, the end goal is not public schools that teach several major religions' creation myths alongside evolution. It's the 10 Commandments. It's Jesus on the cross. And who knows, maybe a little curse of Ham. Because seeing a gay guy in a picture book is downright satanic, but seeing a guy's entire lineage cursed to an eternity of slavery because he saw his daddy's penis once is good and Christian. I'm sorry, but it's really just such a fucking stupid book. Christians should read it sometime. Anyway, as of this recording, the Supreme Court has not yet ruled on this, but it doesn't look good. In addition to the court being controlled by religious extremists and journalists reporting that they're sounding very sympathetic to the parents, only 3 of the justices have even gone to public school. That would be Alito, Jackson, and Kagan, and the rest of them all graduated from private Catholic schools. And next week, they'll be considering whether or not to approve the first religious public charter school. And for dessert, this fall, they're going to be considering whether or not to overturn state-level bans on conversion therapy, the extreme religious practice of torturing people, usually children, into pretending to be straight or cisgender when they aren't. So, yeah, dark times ahead. If you are a parent, I recommend stocking up your library at home with a diversity of educational books. Maybe consider hiding the library like in a cubby behind your refrigerator, just in case. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you loved the video, please subscribe. And if you think the world could use more videos like this and you happen to have a few bucks laying around, head to patreon.com/Rebecca and join an awesome community of nerds like the people whose names you see on the screen right now. Thanks.